I couldn't find Kleenex, so I have some toilet paper in my pocket.
I saw you on Kelly Clarkson just a few days ago.
Yes.
And I'm sure some other folks
can I
in here did too.
tell you the story about that?
Please do. Yeah. I would love it.
Okay, so I knew that I was going on Kelly Clarkson, she's just the nicest person ever and so ridiculously talented. And a friend of mine, Pam Druckerman, who I'm going to just, tell the world who made me do this, she said, okay, there's this thing that's happened on the sapphic internet where, Kelly sang this song and then she winked and I was like, wait, say that what? Like, can you go back? And so she told me the whole story of that moment of her singing the song of, I like my women a little bit older or something like that.
Yeah, do you guys know about this? She was singing a song, she didn't change the pronouns.
She didn't change the pronouns,
yeah.
And she winked at the camera, which was apparently code, And so
the lesbians knew, we were locked in, yeah.
And my friend said, you have to say, I hear you like your women a little bit older. I said, I'm not saying that. That is so cringy, that's horrible. I've been misidentified so often. I said, that's not fair, that's not nice, And she goes, well, I'll give you a prize if you do it. And I was like, no, I'm still not doing it. And then I went on the show, and of course, Kelly's really, really nice, and we have this nice conversation about the L Word book that I have coming out, and a lot of discussion about my mom, and everything's going really well. And then she turns to the audience and she says something about, isn't her voice really sexy?
Yeah.
She's so sexy, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I was like, okay, the universe just opened the door for me. I have to walk in. So I said it and she just died. She died.
I would also die. I don't know how she survived that moment, but did you get your prize?
Well, exactly. I'm waiting for my prize. I texted my friend right away and I said, okay, so I did it. So what's my prize?
You did this on national television. You deserve it.
I do. Yeah. And Kelly was so sweet afterwards. She just laughed and laughed and laughed. And, it was a really fun moment. So, but thank you for bringing it up so I can tell the origin story about it.
I love it. I mean, I think something else you said on that show that really resonated with me was that part of doing the L Word for you is that you really hoped that somewhere out there a young queer girl would be inspired by the things that you've done and that you were portraying. And I know that there are a lot of people in this room, myself included, who come from small towns who didn't have that community. And I'm wondering if we could get a cheer from all of the queer folks in the audience who felt inspired by your work and seen. Yeah.
I mean, when we were making the L Word, when we were making the pilot, to be honest, when we first started the L Word, I was really ignorant about the queer community, and I was in this restaurant in Vancouver with my husband, and he turned and kissed me, and because I was thinking so much about Bet, I was thinking, oh, if we were a queer couple, this would be a really big moment in this restaurant. And little by little, season after season, I just started really understanding more of the issues that surround the community and how I wanted, just really wanted to be helpful in whatever way that I could. But I knew when I first read the script, I thought, okay, there's somebody out there who just feels so othered and doesn't have access to their larger community, who perhaps hasn't seen themselves represented in mainstream media in any kind of positive, fabulous way, and wanted to give them a mirror, however imperfect it might be, because it's fictitious. But I just wanted to bring comfort to people.
I think you've done that. I think we can say you've done that. Absolutely. And as someone who is such a good ally, I feel like you are just such a lighthouse of what it really means to be a good ally.
Oh,
There's
thank you.
a lot of conversation around lesbians should play lesbians and queer people, but there's also so much space and necessity for good allyship. And yeah, I think you're such a beacon for that.
Well, thank you. And I think right now it's so important to speak up. We're at a time when, the U.S. government, people in the U.S. government are trying to make Canada the 51st fucking state. That's not going to happen.
No way, elbows up.
Pardon me for swearing if there's children in the audience, but I am also Canadian, and I'm like, no way, have you not seen us play hockey? So
that's right. Wait, are you a Canucks fan? What do you got going on?
God,
Sorry to bring this
up.
up.
So sorry, yes, I am.
We forgive you.
It is
okay.
so sad. What a sad thing. But we'll rebuild, damn it. My
Next year.
yeah.
Next year's your year. I feel
Next
it.
year. Next time. It's like hitting your head against the thing.
It's okay. I'm an Oilers fan. I know the
Okay.
pain. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
That was brave of
I know.
you.
We'll fight about it.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that some of your style icons are Joe Perry and Bay Paley.
Yes,
Which is really
yeah.
cool. I mean, you're wearing an extremely cool suit now. That's really
thank
giving
you.
gender, which I think is pretty cool. That you
In
have,
what way? What do you mean?
Like male style icons, is really kind
Well,
of
Bay
neat.
Paley is very feminine.
I mean, very true.
And also Joe Perry has a lot of feminine aspects.
That's exactly
In fact,
right.
his wife said he packs more stuff than she does.
Do you like to play with that in the way you dress? And did that impact the way that Bet dresses at all?
You mean like consciously thinking about gender?
Or like the way that your style inspiration comes through?
You know, it's usually, to be honest, what is clean. Like what is clean it happens first. And then if I have to go to an event like this or something and I have to be presentable, then I start to think, okay, we got to go beyond clean. Because I like to spend a lot of time outside. Like I spend a lot of time hiking or open water swimming. So I'm not really thinking about style at all. I'm just thinking, clean, comfortable. And when I'm dressing for something like this, again, it's just like, what makes me feel really good? Like what makes me, and I think that's, because I'm not I don't buy into fashion so much in terms of like luxury brands and yada yada. I think fashion should be about making yourself feel like your most self. I don't know how to explain that, and not trying to be somebody else. And so it's really about, okay, what makes me feel good? Well, I don't care that I don't know, bell bottoms aren't in. I really like bell bottoms, so I'm going to be wearing those forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know.
I have cat hair all over my vest right now, so I totally understand the struggle. Yeah,
And the whole thing with that Flashdance sweatshirt,
Yes.
was that was based on my sweatshirt. I had this sweatshirt that I loved, and I put it in the dryer at too high of a heat, and I couldn't get, so the hole for my head got really small. So it was like trying to birth yourself, and there was no, and so I couldn't fit my head through there. So I cut out a hole to make it bigger, and I wore it one day to a costume fitting for Flashdance, and the costumer and the director fell in love with it, and so Michael, our Michael Kaplan, our costumer, made a much better version of my sad little over-dried sweatshirt.
Which you still have,
Which I still have, yeah, I do. And I have the band jacket too, the red, because that was my band jacket.
Oh my gosh.
I wore that. They used that. They used a lot of my stuff. As I said, I just dress however what I want to dress. Oh, look, the cute band jacket. I'm going to wear that. I don't care.
Hell yeah. I feel like we should all take inspiration from that. Just being able to be comfortable and be yourself in exactly like men's clothes, women's clothes, who gives a shit? Like you can wear whatever you want, and as long as it makes you feel good.
Yes,
I love
100%.
that. Yeah, absolutely. And you do have a book of photography coming out,
Yes.
The L Word, a photographic journal. Are you guys excited about this? Have you heard about this? Over 400 original images from your time on the L Word. I'm curious, when you look back on them, how do they make you feel?
Oh, it's so joyful.
Yeah?
Like we were all, the cast was really close. We were really like family, for better or for worse. And I am an avid photographer. I studied photography in college. And I started taking photographs from the very first day of rehearsal all the way to however many years later, to the last day of filming. And originally I had meant it as a cast and crew gift, and then it became clear to me that the fans might be really interested in it, so I did interviews with the cast, and I included that in the book. And also, I don't know, I'm not a hoarder, but I am an archivist, I think.
Yeah.
And that may come from...
I'm going to start using that. That's good, yeah.
Because it's not just like, oh, I've got to keep it. It's like, let's keep it in order. And I think, honestly, it comes from, I think anyway, like I'm trying to think about why do I do that? And my dad died when I was very young. And so I think I have a real sense of impermanence. Like all these things like will not be here forever. Mm-hmm. And how wonderful it would be to be able to, when I'm 80, look back at this other time, and it's I forget the really great quote about a memoir is like, you get to live life twice, so I think it's that kind of feeling. So I made the book available to the fans, and so it's out in the world now, which is really fun.
That's so beautiful. And I'm glad you brought up memoir, because I was going to ask, what do you think that the art of photography in a book like this gives us that is like more or different than just writing a memoir?
Well, it's all subjective. Even a photo is subjective. It's what you, I forget the name of there's a book called In Memory of Memory, and I wish I could remember the author's name, as a Russian author. Just talks about the slipperiness of memory and how it's just really so subjective through the lens at which you're looking even at the past. But I don't know what photography gives it. I mean, because photos have an emotion and a texture and a touch point all their own. I think, I don't know. This is what I've been grappling with for like the last 6 months, because I would love to write a memoir and I don't know how.
Yeah.
So I've been really, really, really thinking about memory, and maybe I shouldn't think so much and just do it. But
yeah, that is always a good instinct. Sorry, I'm not trying to stump you.
No. But I just don't know how interested people are like me talking about memory, because I could sit here for the entire day getting very academic about it. And do we trust it? Do we trust the photograph? Do we trust the words? Like, what is the meaning of it? And I think really at the end of the day, it comes to how does it make you feel at that moment, and can it be a jumping off point to what you want to take with you in the future, like when you're looking backwards, to make sure that you don't get stuck in the past, and that you make sure that the present and the future are as important, if not more important, than the past, but that you take from the past everything that can help you move forward. And so for me, the book, especially coming out right now, in this moment of attempts at institutionalized erasure for the queer community, that you take the joy, you take the progress that you see from that moment, and you take the camaraderie and the community, and you move that forward, and you push fear away. You say, fuck you, fear.
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely.
And you move forward with joy.
I love that. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I am swearing so much. I'm so sorry.
This is a hockey town. I think we're used to it. Yeah.
We're in a moment of history where swear words are really appropriate, I think.
Yes.
I do have some audience questions here that we are going to get to in a second, just after a couple more questions. So thank you to everyone who sent in questions for Jennifer. Appreciate you. But I'm really glad that you brought up, what you're taking the past and moving forward, because I think you're so multi-talented. Photography, acting, kung fu, marathon running.
Kung fu, that's a misnomer. I don't know who put kung fu in Wikipedia, but they really have a sense of humor, because I'm not a kung fu guy.
That's great. Someone who is a wiki editor can go delete that now. Thank you so much for that.
But one thing that I have done, and that's sort of with what we're talking about, is Eileen Chaikin, who's the original showrunner of the L Word. She and I have started a multimedia company called Run Amok.
Yes.
So that we continue storytelling in the manner in which we would like to continue storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super cool. I was actually going to ask you what kinds of stories you are looking to tell with Run Amok.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask the audience. Like, I want to, maybe after the panel, there's a couple things I would love to do, and I hope I'm not being greedy. But any fans of the L Word, or anyone actually, can come by the booth, and if they wouldn't mind sharing with me on video, if they don't mind me taking a video, of what the L Word meant to them, and also what kind of content people would like to see Run Amok, dive into.
I love that, and I love that you're, once again, speaking about allyship, like connecting directly with the community like that is it's the perfect way. It's the only way to know,
Well, I think also sometimes like fan fiction, you can really get an understanding of the community and what people are interested in too.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I've never heard of fan fiction. I don't know what you're talking about. No, but it's true. I mean, transformative media is so important, right? And it's especially in queer spaces because we didn't have the opportunity to see ourselves represented in mainstream media for such a long time. The only way to see ourselves was in transformative media like that. So that really is where so many of those ideas still live to this day, which is so true.
But I think like the queer community, the not queer community, the whatever the different categories are, story is so powerful. Yeah. It's just, you know, when you think about it, we are constantly telling ourselves stories, and we're constantly being told stories about from when we're very little, like, oh, you're the smart one, you're the fast one, you're the athlete, oh, you're the good student. Somebody's always telling a story, and then you're telling yourself these stories. Oh, I guess I'm the smart one, or I'm not the smart one, or I'm the athlete, or whatever. And there are all these narratives around us swirling constantly. So it's like, okay, what story do I want to tell myself? And how do I think the way that we move culture is one story at a time. And it can be the story you tell yourself, it can be the story you tell your child, it can be the story that you tell to a larger audience, but to be really mindful of what story you're telling and what story you would like to be told. And then things start to shift internally and then externally, I think.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Story is the most important thing that we have, and it's why we're all here today, because we're all so passionate about story.
Isn't that wild?
It's
like we're
amazing.
all here because of story. That's so cool.
It is really cool. I think you're such an interesting person because you're such an interested person, and I'm just curious about what you are interested in right now. Like, what is catching your focus right now? What are you into?
In what way?
Just
I'm like interested in everything. Like, it's one of the things that I love about photography. It's one of the things I love about acting is that it makes you really observe the world and other people, and honestly, the world on its worst day is so exquisite when you look closely, like, you know?
Yeah.
But what am I into? Well, I'm trying to help run a company, so I'm reading a lot, meeting with a lot of writers, a lot of creators. I was really into Patricia Hempel's book, I Could Tell You Stories, and reading Liddy Conklin's book, Songs of No Provenance, which is incredible. That comes out in June. And of course, you know, Kate and Leisha have their book coming out, So Gay For You, coming out in June, I think, as well, which is going to be amazing. I've read it already. You guys are going to laugh and cry. It's going to be so great.
Amazing.
What else am I into? I've always loved open water swimming and poetry and my dog and the garden. I don't know.
That's perfect. No, that's great. I just feel like conventions like this are so great because everybody nerds out about something. You know, everybody is like a big fan of something. Everybody loves something really passionately that is here, and so it's cool to be able to share that.
I love so many things. I don't think I'm a nerd about one thing, but I did completely fangirl when I saw the Buffy people here.
Oh my God, hell yeah, absolutely.
I was like, what? How did no one tell me? And I've worked with James Marsters before, who's just such a delight, and I've met David a couple times, and he was such a lovely person, but I got really fangirly because I started rewatching the series.
So good.
So ahead of its time, holy smokes.
I know, and they're remaking it now, which is very exciting.
I know,
too.
I heard, that's exciting.
We have some great audience questions. Do we have Selena K from Calgary in the audience by any chance? If not, she sent in a really great question, which is that you've consistently played such strong, smart, and complex women in all of your roles. What draws you to a role, and how do you make those choices of the characters that you really want to bring to life?
Number one is the writing. Like, you want good writing. It's like you want a good foundation for building, you know, for a home in which to live.
Yeah.
And then the people with whom you will be working is really important. And I think every part asks you to expand into some other part of yourself and use that, I don't know, clay to build something else. I feel like when I first started, well, it's so interesting because Bet led the way for Garza, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Bet was so powerful, and I had to expand into her power. And then once I had that expansion, it almost is like a weird little magnet.
Yeah.
And so then John Favreau calls me up about Garza, and I'm like, I love her.
Love it. We have some Garza fans in the crowd, I assume. We're gonna get to some Garza questions right now. Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's 99.9% the writing, and then, you know, the other is who you're working with.
No, that makes so much sense. And we actually do have a really great question from Vicky V from Alberta. Thank you, Vicky. Which is just wondering, what was it like stepping into the Star Wars universe? And how did you approach Garza?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
Yeah?
I really pinched myself so hard every day. I was so early every day for work because I just wanted to soak it all up, and I couldn't believe.
And because you had to put that thing on your head.
No. Can I tell you, the hair and makeup for Garza Fwip took much less time than my hair and makeup in the L Word.
That's
I'm
incredible.
not joking. They are like such a well-oiled machine. They draw stencils so they can just put your eye makeup on like that. It's incredible. It's an incredible crew. And everybody is so nice. She's such a great character. John is amazing. Dave is amazing. I just had so much fun, and I just was like, thank you God for letting me be in this universe. I just am so honored.
I feel the same
and
way
she's not
all the
dead.
time. That they let me touch Star Wars at all feels like such a miracle. It feels like the modern myth, the most modern mythology, of our time. That's what's gonna outlive all of us, you know?
Yeah, the Force.
Yeah.
You learn about quantum physics and spirituality through the Star Wars. That's what I did when I was little, yeah.
It's pretty beautiful. What's your favorite thing about Garza?
She's such a survivor.
Yeah.
And I love, Dave let me, I was telling somebody who came up to the booth, I said to Dave, she's been through so much. I said, there's no way with this war and everything that I haven't been damaged in some way, not just emotionally, but because I can cover that up, but I think there's some physical damage. And so he let me put this little scar right across here that you can see. I think it's in the gold dress. You can see this scar across here, which was so cool. I also said, I'm so wealthy. Garza is so wealthy. I have water. I have plants. We live in the desert, and I have plants when water is at a premium. My God, I'm so wealthy. I said, would it be possible for me to have more than one wardrobe? And he said, well, usually in the Star Wars universe, you only have one thing that you wear. And he said, but yeah, Garza's so wealthy, maybe she has something else. And so Shauna, who was our amazing costumer who passed recently, just kept whipping up these incredible costumes. I was like, I feel so special.
So great. No, it's true, because Star Wars characters do usually have their one iconic outfit, but you got so many iconic outfits.
I did.
That
I got
rules.
really lucky. It's incredible.
Well, and Garza gets a lot of love and attention, but we did get a great question from Joe from Edmonton. Thank you, Joe, if you're here. Which is there a character that you've played throughout your body of work that you feel is a personal favorite of yours that you don't get to talk about a lot, that you'd like to draw more attention to, or wish that folks knew more about?
I really love Margot Taft in The Last Tycoon.
So good.
Which is based on the Gatsby, or the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel. And she's not in the book, because I don't think Fitzgerald could have ever imagined her in the novel. But she's a really, really special character to me. And she's within that realm. There's no Garza without Margot, there's a line, you can draw a lineage from Margot to Garza.
Can you say more about that?
Well, they both are survivors, and they know how to play a room.
Yeah, as do you. I would.
I don't know about that, but
what do you,
not
I
like
mean.
they do. Not like they do. It's just you'll see. You watch it. It's called The Last Tycoon, and it's a series, and Matt Bomer's in it, Lily Collins, and the amazing Kelsey Grammer, who I got to work with twice now, and just was, and written by Billy Ray, who's a phenomenal writer and friend.
That's really cool. Matt Bomer, another queer icon for sure. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Well, I think we're all going to check that out after this. Yes, amazing commitment from everyone in the room. Thank you very much. Speaking of other roles, Freddie P. from Chestermere, thanks Freddie, wants to know, you have done so much. You've voiced characters, you've done drama and sci-fi and romance now. Is there a genre or type of role that you haven't had the opportunity to do that you're really jonesing?
I totally want to play a witch.
Oh yeah, heck yes, yes, absolutely.
I think I would be such a good witch. I have crystals in my pocket right now.
What crystals? This is
I'm
important.
not going to tell you. That's a secret.
Oh, I live in Los Angeles. Everyone has crystals in their pockets. I feel it does say so much about you. What crystals are in your pocket?
I know. I'm not going to give out that information. You
my
girls got to keep
moonstone
some secrets. But I think I would. Fantasy, that kind of fantasy. I don't know, it would have to be a cross genre, but I would love to play a witch. Maybe I'd love to play, I was really, I loved Warrior Nun, was such a cool idea.
Yes.
Like
a Canadian classic, in fact. Yeah, absolutely.
And when I was a girl, it's so funny, when I was a girl, I wanted to be a Warrior Nun witch.
I think that someone needs to write that for you. That's the next vehicle. Yeah, we'll get David Hayter on the phone and we'll get him
there
to
you
do
go.
that.
There you go.
I think that you would be great in like a Dungeons and Dragons or some sort of like you've done the high sci-fi now. Now we got to get you in some like high fantasy robes of some sort, like
robes.
some witch robes.
I'm down with the robes. Yeah,
absolutely. We can do crystals with the robes as well.
Yeah. I can already feel my wand is going to be incredible. I don't know, but you can't really beat the Elder Wand. You can't beat that. I don't know what you'd have to do.
Every L Word fan in the audience is like, you would have a great wand. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for that laugh. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's like Kelly Clarkson. I opened the door and she just walked right through.
You make it too easy on us. I'm so sorry. We're taking advantage of you. We know that you are an ally. I'm sorry. We know. Just to be clear. Speaking of Canadian,
straight girls can have wands. I'm just saying.
That's also so true, and I do encourage it. Speaking of Canadian classics, let's move on. Should we move on? I think we should move on. Speaking of Canadian classics, James W. would like to know, do you have any Canadian snacks you love? I mean, I think you said you're Canadian.
Snacks.
Do you have any faves now that you're up here?
No, but being in BC, I can't get enough of smoked salmon, but yeah.
Yes, that totally counts. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I had, I went to Standing Rock a couple times and met some folks down there, and there was a BC band that was there, and they were really hunkered down, and the second time I came, I brought like a huge bag of smoked salmon for these people, and they just were, it was the middle of winter, and the snow was up to here, and I had to, there was a pathway they had a yurt there, and I knocked on the door, and somebody said to me, and I'm not going to name who it is because I don't know if she would want me to name who it is at her family, but I said, oh, I have a present for this person, and the other person in the camp said, oh, she's not feeling well, she doesn't want to see anybody. And I said, I have a feeling she's going to want to see me. Because I knew what was in my backpack. And I knocked on the door, and she opened the door. She's like, what are you doing here? You're crazy, because the snow was up to here. And I pulled out this massive bag of smoked salmon. And she's like, oh, I miss smoked salmon.
You were so right.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. Anytime someone is not feeling well, show up with a backpack full of fish, and they will let you in.
Yeah, especially if they're from BC, they'll appreciate it.
Incredibly true. I mean, do you still do open water swimming in BC?
Yeah, I love it.
Really
I love it.
Is that how you stay active? Because I know you said you're not really a dancer, despite flash dance and everything.
No, I hike or I love open water swimming. I keep waiting for an orca to pull up. I don't know if I will have a heart attack or if I will just be in bliss. Was swimming, and a baby whale swam right underneath me, like so close that I could touch it. Because you could feel the water displacement too. Like, it was so beautiful. And it just made me forget how cold the water was, because it just was such an amazing experience. I love being in the water and hiking, and lately I've been playing pickleball, which is hilarious and so fun.
Yeah, we have some pickleball people in the crowd, I'm so very sure, absolutely. That's like scary and dangerous, open water swimming. I find that so impressive. That's wild.
Well, but is it any more dangerous than hiking, or I don't know?
A good point, yeah, absolutely.
Is it? I don't know. It's just, to me, it's very freeing, and I think it's also part of what I love about being part of a great story. You're part of something that's so much bigger than you. And I love that feeling in the water where everything's just so expansive. It's hard to go back into a pool. Like, I feel like a goldfish or something.
Yeah, and the chlorine and like...
Yeah, but it's a great place to practice form, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Everybody's like, who cares?
I think it's interesting. This is interesting. I think you're so much more than just the characters you play, and I think it's important to talk about that too, because that brings what you bring to your characters.
Right,
like everything that makes you influences these characters that we love so much. So
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
yeah, although I do think seeing Garza in the ocean would be pretty cool. I wonder what her like
Water!
like, you know what I mean? With the, yeah, exactly. It would be pretty dope.
Water that we can't drink. Ugh.
I know. She would go crazy.
Yeah. No, she'd find a way to desalinate the water. Don't you think? I mean,
Yeah, she's a genius.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Or hire somebody to do it.
We have one more question from Jackie L. from Regina. Thank you, Jackie. Is there anything that you think fans would be surprised to learn about filming Flashdance, or any like behind the scenes stories that still make you smile?
I was so young. That's a really hard one. I tried to hang out with the dog as much as I possibly could.
So good, so relatable.
Because I was not nervous, but like it's so much. Like it's hard to understand what it is to be number one on the call sheet for a film or TV show. You're working minimum 16 hours a day, sometimes more. And I was in a little tiny honey wagon, and I was trying to process everything that was happening because I was 18. But every time I was with the dog, I just relaxed. I was like, oh, I love you so much. And the dog was so beautiful and loving, and so.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure for an 18-year-old.
I didn't even think about it as pressure. Like,
Yeah?
Well, because now we have social media, we have all these things. Like, and I wasn't the kind of kid that read fan magazines or anything, or even fashion magazines. I just was in my own little world, and so I wasn't cognizant of it at all. I just was. I want to do a good job, and I want to be truthful, and all those things. And oh, look at that dog! I just want to spend time with my dog.
Absolutely. Well, and that's so different from now when you're sort of so involved with fan culture because of a lot of the like properties you've been involved with and the huge fandoms that have been developed around these projects that you've been in that have spoken to so many people. What has your experience been like engaging with folks at cons and being part of this world?
Can I tell you, it is so amazing to me that we congregate around story, and I think it's so amazing to see how community is created in these spaces, because there's the space here, there's the space like when we meet at the booth, but then there's this third space too, where the fans meet one another. And we have the classic example. I did a con in Texas once on a whim because I had made this t-shirt. Okay, I'm gonna back up. I'm on my way to London and I'm trying to figure out fashion.
Yes.
Oh, I wanted to be comfortable, blah, blah, blah. I've got these blazers. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I had a black and white image under this blazer? Oh, I don't have a t-shirt with a black and white image. Oh, I'll make myself a t-shirt with a black and white image. And I had all these photographs that I'd taken from the L Word, and one was this image of something I had drawn in the condensation of a car, and it said Bet and Tina forever, but it's hard to see it. Like, it's not super clear, so it's just like a graphic image. So I made this t-shirt. I go to London, I do like a little video like, hey, London, you know, and I put it on Instagram, and like that, the fans went, where's that t-shirt from? Like, I want that t-shirt. I was like, okay, I'm on vacation. I will totally get you this t-shirt, but I'm on vacation. I'll do it when I get back. Within 24 hours, somebody had taken my image and put it on t-shirts and had the gall to start DMing people on my, not even DMing them, right? Just flat out messaging them, hey, I got this t-shirt. I was like, wait a minute, that's not nice. No. So I made the t-shirt available for fans, and I said to them, like, wouldn't it be, okay, full disclosure, I'm very sensitive to caffeine. So I probably had a cup of coffee, but I said, wouldn't it be great if we could all get together and take a picture, you know, together in this t-shirt? And they're like, yeah, that would be so cool. And about a week later, my manager calls me, and I'd never done a con really, and maybe one about 1 billion years ago, and he said, I know you're gonna pass on this, but I just have to let you know, you've been invited to this little convention in Killeen, Texas. Can I pass on this for you? And I said, you know, I think I called that in. So no, you can't pass on that. So I went and I said, okay, I'm going to this convention. Everybody bring your t-shirt. We're gonna take a picture together. And I'll be damned, like all these people showed up and we're in a room like this and we're all wearing this crazy t-shirt and we take a picture. Actually, Jules has, can you stand up and just show them, this is the one in pink.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Mine was white with the black and white on it. Thank you, Jules.
Applause for Jules, please. Yeah, thank you for standing up for us.
But so, in this third space, if I can go back to the thesis, in this third space, all these people who never had met each other were meeting each other in the hallway and making friends, and here they are. So this is the Texas barbecue crew, and they all went out to barbecue together and all became really good friends. And that's the possibility of when story joins us.
Yeah.
So
that's really beautiful. I love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing those.
Sure.
These guys have the t-shirt on too, actually. Yeah, absolutely.
We have one on too.
Well, and talking about doing that in a little town in Texas, I think brings us right back to kind of where we started, which is that that's a really hard place to be different. It's you know, small towns or southern towns, or, you know, Alberta can be quite conservative in places. It's really hard to be yourself in those places. And you know, you spoke about being at Standing Rock, and you have been very involved in activism and using your voice to highlight important things. And I'm wondering, in this time where so many people, whether they be queer or people of color or anyone who is sort of marginalized or different in any way, is feeling scared and maybe sort of alone, I'm wondering what advice you have to give to folks these days.
I think you congregate and you have a dance party, and you congregate in joy. And it's the way to push away fear. And I'll tell you, in Killeen, Texas, where, like, I'm gonna say 75% of the people there had guns, the head of the convention came to me and he said, your fans are amazing. He goes, can we do an L-word convention? Yeah. Like he said, they were the most polite, kind to each other, joyful, kind to staff. Can we do a convention? And I think because they moved with joy and kindness, then they started shifting the atmosphere. And I think that's what we all have to do. And, you know, whether you're marginalized or, you know, you can feel other without being, you know, either part of the queer community or of color. Like, you can all, I think everybody feels other in a way. Like, who's so feeling so fantastic that they go, I'm in the center of the circle. It is all about me.
I have everything going on.
Yeah, I have everything going on. I think there's, you know, I think all of us feel outside the circumference at one point or another, and I think that's why it's really important to remember you never know what someone's going through. You just don't.
That's such a good point. And yeah, can we get a round of applause for that? That was so beautiful. It is so important to come together in moments like this. I'm wondering, as we sort of are coming up on the end of the panel here, what do we have to look forward to from you next? We have the book coming out relatively soon.
Yes, well, the book's out now.
The book's
so
out, yeah, that's right.
You can get the book now, and I'm, you know, got this company called Run Amok. I have a film called Hello Out There, which should hopefully be out soon. And I'm looking at, you know, different television projects. I'm just trying to be patient and not just take something to take something.
Absolutely.
So, but the company Run Amok is really my baby right now.
Well, and folks will come to your table with ideas, absolutely.
Yeah,
and do you have
please
any
do.
last words for your fans here today?
Oh, just so grateful.
We
really,
love you.
Really grateful.
We really do love you. You were so wonderful today. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. Round of applause, everyone. Jennifer Beals. Thank you. And thank you all.
Ready to run?